Alright guys, here is Liz Truss, the British Foreign Secretary. She is an absolute embarrassment to the UK. She's out of her depth. She's way in over her head. She doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't know what she's talking about, especially regarding Ukraine. And we're gonna see why she's such an embarrassment. So a few days ago, waves of Russian missiles pounded a military training base in western Ukraine on Sunday. So today is Wednesday the 16th. This article was March 14th on Monday, and this happened allegedly the day before on Sunday. Now, we haven't had an update on this. UK authorities have launched an investigation amid fears that 3 British ex-Special Forces soldiers have been killed during a Russian attack. That's right. British soldiers are in Ukraine, and there's fears that 3 of them might be dead. This hasn't been updated for a day or two, so I don't know if this story is going to end up being true. No official confirmation of their deaths has been made. Insiders at the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office told the Mirror newspaper that they did not know any British casualties. So we don't know if this story is actually true or not. There's a lot of bad information coming out of Ukraine right now. The fog of war. So this story may not end up being true. But either way, we have Liz Truss, the Foreign Secretary, encouraging British people to fight against Russia in Ukraine. Ukrainian President Zelensky has promised to arm foreign volunteers to travel to his country to join the battle against Vladimir Putin's forces. So let's play this clip and see what Liz Truss said recently.
That is something that people can make their own decisions about. But they are fighting, the people of Ukraine are fighting for freedom and democracy, not just for Ukraine, but for the whole of Europe, because that is what President Putin is challenging. And absolutely, if people want to support that struggle, I would support them in doing that.
So you support Britain, people from Britain, going over to Ukraine to help in the fight?
Absolutely, if that's what they want to do.
Unbelievable. Here she is encouraging British citizens to put their boots on, go to Ukraine and take up arms against Russia. And this is the same British government that up until recently wouldn't allow the citizens to leave their own house except for buying groceries because of the pandemic. For the last 2 years, it's all about your health and your safety. And now the Foreign Secretary is encouraging British people to go and fight in a war. Now look at this story. British father who travelled to Ukraine to join resistance against Russia flees back to the UK fearing a suicidal mission and after getting some real grief from his wife and son. Ben Span returned to the UK fearing he joined a suicide mission. Chose to return after getting some real grief from his wife and son. He'd flown into Poland then crossed over to Ukraine to join the resistance. Unbelievable. So this guy must have listened to his Foreign Secretary and he heard the call from Liz Truss and he decided he was going to fight in Ukraine, a country he's got no connection to. Span from Leamington Spa, Warwickshire, went to Ukraine because he thought it was the right thing to do, despite having no military experience or connections to the country. So this guy has no connection whatsoever to Ukraine and no military experience. So this is just a regular guy who decides, you know what, I'm going to listen to my Foreign Secretary and I'm going to go and fight in a war in Ukraine. He spent 5 days in a safe house in western Ukraine with 4 former British soldiers before deciding it was an absolute nightmare and fleeing back to UK. Like, what the hell did this guy expect? And here's a picture of Ben Span, and I'm going to be honest here and I'm going to say this guy is not the brightest button in the box. He is not the sharpest tool in the box. He's got a wife and son, and he decides to listen to this absolutely rancid politician, Liz Truss, and go and put his life on the line while he's got a wife and kid back in England. Unbelievable. Here's a picture of him with some Ukrainian soldiers. I mean, what the hell did this guy expect? Span did not tell his family he was travelling to fight against Russia, telling them instead that he planned to help refugees in Poland. Now, helping refugees in Poland, that's commendable and so on, but he decided to take it 100 steps further and go and actually take up arms in a war and cross the border into Ukraine. The tiny accommodation had no beds or running water and was a bit of a shock because it was like walking into a crack den in England. Well, you know what? I would rather walk into a crack den in England than walk into a war zone in Ukraine right now. Here's a photograph of some other foreign fighter. Look at him. Look at this guy. He's clearly overweight. He's not war ready. He's got more chins than a Chinese phone book. And does this guy look like he's ready to fight the Russian army? And he did not disclose his nationality. He's got a rifle here and some underwear, which are going to get soiled pretty quickly when he realizes what the hell is going on. Now this guy, even though he's not the sharpest tool in the box, he did decide, well, you know what, this is crazy, and he did actually go back to Britain, thankfully, and he can go home and continue raising his 16-year-old son and being a husband to his wife. He got out of there. He's one of the lucky ones. But now on the back of all this absolute craziness, the reports of the 3 British soldiers getting killed and this Ben Span guy, Liz Truss has changed her mind apparently. Good Morning Britain viewers cringe at embarrassing Liz Truss U-turn on Ukraine. So let's look at this clip.
Sunday morning programme 2 or 3 weeks ago, you said you were asked if you thought that people should go to Ukraine, basically, and pick up arms. You were asked to be clear on that, and you said absolutely, if that's what they want to do. And then you were kind of slapped down for saying that by your own government a couple of days later. But you gave a straight answer then. Give a straight answer now. Do you actually think that these young men should be going and fighting there? Because you clearly thought so then. Have you changed your mind, or have you been told to change your mind?
The Foreign Office did issue very clear advice that people should not travel to Ukraine, and there are better ways of helping Ukraine, namely of donating to the DEC fund, and we've seen 130 million donated.
Okay guys, so she's saying that the Foreign Office said don't go to Ukraine. Now she's the head of the Foreign Office, she's the Foreign Secretary. Notice how she didn't actually fess up to what she had said, and instead she's saying, oh well, the Foreign Office said don't go, but she herself said do go. We saw clearly in the clip a few minutes ago, she's just yet another untrustworthy politician talking out of both sides of her mouth. She's an absolute disgrace. And it's not just this incident, she's had a couple of geographical gaffes as well related to Ukraine. Look at this, Ukraine crisis. Liz Truss mocked for a geography gaffe by Russia. Liz Truss's latest foray into international diplomacy has not gone to plan after she was given a lesson in basic geography. The UK Foreign Secretary was mocked by Maria Zakharova, Russia's foreign ministry spokesman, for failing to know the difference between the Baltic and Black Seas, which are more than 700 miles apart. It came as another senior Kremlin official dismissed British diplomacy as absolutely worthless. And here's what she said. We are supplying and offering extra support into our Baltic allies across the Black Sea. So Zakharova noted that the Baltic nations of Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania lie off the Baltic Sea, not the Black Sea, which is hundreds of miles to the south. And she pointed out that the reason they're called Baltic countries is because they border the Baltic Sea. And here is the ultimate slapdown. If anyone needs to be saved from anything, then it is the world from the stupidity and ignorance of Anglo-Saxon politicians. So that's a real smackdown right there. And let's have a look at the map. So here is the Baltic Sea. Here's Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, which are known as the Baltic nations because they border the Baltic Sea right here. And Liz Truss said they were helping these nations through the Black Sea. So where is the Black Sea? Oh, it's down here. It's to the south of Ukraine. Way down here. Some 700 miles away from Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia. And she made another gaffe back in February, so this was before Russia invaded. Liz Truss makes humiliating Russian geography gaffe. Russian business newspaper Kommersant has reported that during a high-profile diplomatic meeting in Moscow, Liz Truss told her Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov that Britain did not recognize Russian sovereignty over the Rostov and Voronezh regions in the southwest of the Russian Federation. In a report since picked up by the Times, Kommersant alleged that Truss had said that Russia must withdraw its troops from the Ukrainian border. Lavrov, who has been Russia's Minister for Foreign Affairs since 2004, countered that they were perfectly entitled to move anywhere within Russian territory. After Truss repeated her demand, Lavrov asked her whether she recognized Russian sovereignty over the Voronezh and Rostov regions, which border Ukraine and have seen a significant build-up of armed men and material in recent months. Apparently, Truss responded that Britain would never recognise Russian sovereignty over the two regions. According to the Times, the British ambassador to Moscow then reminded her that Rostov and Voronezh were very much inside Russia. So, yet another gaffe by Liz Truss. Let's have a look at the map here. So here's Russia in red, and in purple I coloured Voronezh and Rostov. two oblasts within Russia. In blue, you have Ukraine. Now, in dark blue, I colored in Donetsk and Luhansk. And this is probably where she got confused. She probably thought they were talking about Luhansk and Donetsk, which are part of Ukraine but have been taken over by the Russians. These are heavily populated areas of Russian people within Ukraine. So she probably thought they were talking about these two regions, when in fact they were talking about Voronezh and Rostov. So that's probably where the confusion came. But still, it was a terrible gaffe by Truss. So here you go, guys. Here is another Western leader who is completely out of their depth, and her ineptitude, her incompetence, her absolute stupidity may have resulted in the deaths of 3 British soldiers. We don't know yet. It hasn't been confirmed. And of course, we have this absolute toolbox right here, Ben Spann, an absolute idiot who is lucky to be still alive, quite frankly. Alright, guys, make sure to subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think about this woman, Liz Truss. I'm going to be doing more videos about Russia and Ukraine, trying to dig up what's really happening. So until next time, see you guys later.